for travel to. But first of all, I know some of the people on the call are familiar with Travel Time, but for those of you who aren't, just wanted to let you know a couple things about us. Travel Time is a full-service travel agency. We can do everything from simple plane tickets to very complicated customized itineraries. We have 3 offices, one in Calgary, one in Kelowna, and one in Fort Nelson, BC. And we work very similar to a mortgage broker. A mortgage broker is connected to a variety of companies, and they find you the mortgage that suits you the best and has the best value for you. And Travel Time works exactly the same way. We're connected to many suppliers, and some of the suppliers, such as Travel2, don't actually sell directly to the public. So we spend a lot of time finding out what it is that you want, what's important to you. Then we go through our suppliers, and we come back to you with some options regarding what you want and help you to find the vacation that suits you the best. So I'll be on the line at the end if there's any questions about Travel Time, but for right now I would like to introduce Leia Marvin with Travel2, and she'll tell you a little bit about Australia, New Zealand, and the South Pacific. Are you there, Leia?
Thank you. Yes, I am. Thank you so much, Brenda. I really appreciate the opportunity to chat about the destinations I love so much with your clientele. So hello, everyone, or as they say in Australia, g'day, mates. As we've got tons of stuff to go through today. Now, typically, I can spend an hour talking about just New South Wales in Australia. There's so much to do throughout these regions that we could be talking about this for days. So the way that I've narrowed it down is we're going to go through Australia and New Zealand together. It's going to be a bit of a combined presentation on the 2 destinations because there are very similar tour styles in both destinations. Where it tends to get very different is with the islands like Tahiti, Fiji, and Cook Islands, which I will do separately towards the end. And before I get started, if you have any questions as we go throughout the presentation, there is a question box in the control panel on the right side of your screen for this GoToMeeting system. So any questions you have, just put them into the question box and we'll do our best to answer them all at the end of the presentation. If we don't get to all of your questions, what we'll do is we'll have some specialists from Travel Time to connect with you and review some of the questions you had, and maybe by that point too you might have some more. Travel Time is filled with amazing destination specialists that can help you through this whole process and really bring your dream vacation together and make it a reality for you. So without further ado, let's get started. So Australia. Now Australia is our biggest destination within the South Pacific, and the Canadian visitor arrivals have been increasing every single year. Now is really the time to get to the South Pacific for so many reasons, starting with our Canadian dollar. It actually stretches further in the South Pacific. Now, with Australia, we're pretty much on par, but we do gain in New Zealand and the islands. The other reasons are the Zika virus. It's not in the South Pacific, so we're good to go there. And sadly, very sadly, the state of the world. So people are starting to look at destinations that they can travel to, feel safe in, and just really enjoy as a hassle-free vacation, and that really is the South Pacific. Now, in Australia, there are so many regions and destinations within the country itself to see. So we're going to break this down by tour style and just to show you some of the areas you can go to. But first, we'll just review very quickly what Australia is about. It's close to about 24 million in the population, and you know, they're really in the outskirts, all around the perimeter of the country. When it comes to the middle, it gets very vast and more desert-like. So most of the population is going to be around the coastal regions. Now, typically we say that it's cut into about 3 climatic regions. Obviously, you can see a few more here. But basically, you're going to stay a little bit cooler to the south and much more warm to the north. And it depends on time of year when you're going. Just so you know, the peak season which also means the most expensive time to travel is from December right through to the end of February. Now, this is their summer, so their seasons are reversed from ours here in Canada. So typically, yes, the airfares are a little bit more expensive, and sometimes the land products are as well, but it is one of the best times to go. Now, with that being said, we're Canadian. We can take the cool, and the cool in South Pacific is nowhere near what we're used to here in Canada. So we find that the Canadian travelers love the season, the spring and fall seasons. So September through to November, and then from mid-March right through to about end of June. So those are the low seasons. The thing to keep in mind is the further south you go, the cooler it's going to be. So when you come down to Tasmania, you can get frost sometimes. But when I say cool, and if you're traveling up here in Cairns and seeing the Great Barrier Reef, well, in their winter it's 30 degrees. So you really kind of have to gauge it. You really have to tell your travel time specialist what season you like best, what kind of temperatures you like best, and then they'll figure it out for you there. Now, New Zealand is much smaller in size, and I should let you know as well, Australia, people don't realize it's actually the size of the States minus Alaska. It's a very, very large continent, and it takes quite some time to get around. So typically, our vacation period is about 2 weeks. We would prefer to see you go for 3 if possible, but just so you know, you're not going to be able to get it all within the 2 to 3 weeks because there's just so much to see. Now, New Zealand is much smaller, so you can get a lot more of the sightseeing in within your 2-week vacation. If you do the combination, please allow yourself 3 weeks. Do 2 weeks in Australia and a week in New Zealand. If we have to battle with your 2-week vacation, we can make it work. Just know that you're going to have a lot less time in those areas. Now, New Zealand's about the size of Colorado, so it's much smaller. It's only 1,600 kilometers from tip to tip. There's 3 islands that make up New Zealand. You've got the North Island, the South Island, and then Stewart Island. Now, the rule of thumb here is to dress like an onion. The seasonalities are very different here, and because you've got, you know, such a small landmass and you're surrounded by ocean, you're going to have those ocean breezes. And we say dress like an onion so you can peel back those layers, because in one spot you're going to be warm, and in the other spots you're going to be cooler. The thing to note with New Zealand is that the North Island is tropical and the South Island is subtropical. So that kind of breaks up your climates right there. And it's 4.5 million people and 40 million sheep. Believe it or not, 40 million sheep. You're going to see them everywhere. And if you're lucky, most people say, I can't believe you say if you're lucky, but it's true. If you're lucky, you'll actually be driving down the road and you might even come up on what we call a New Zealand traffic jam. And that's when the sheep herders are actually herding the sheep through from station to station. So if you're on an escorted tour, you might be asked to get off and help shoo the sheep off the road. It's a fun thing to do. So when in Rome, right, or when in New Zealand. Okay, let's take a look at the flights. Now, there's 2 main carriers that go to these destinations, but there are others. The Air Canada actually just opened up a route from Vancouver to Brisbane, which is on the East Coast. Great if you're looking for long stay getaways, because the Gold Coast is the place to be for long stay getaways in Australia. Fantastic beach, great nightlife, really nice accommodations, and that's a great route on Air Canada. However, the national carriers are typically the ones that we're going to book for you. There's Qantas to Australia, and there's Air New Zealand to New Zealand. Now, of course, you can take Air New Zealand over to Australia, but just keep in mind that you're going to go via New Zealand over to Australia. Now, on Qantas, they depart nonstop daily from Los Angeles. There are some seasonal service flights that go from Vancouver, and that typically happens in the peak season, which is the holiday season in December through to the end of January. When that information comes out, of course, your travel time specialist can help you with that. The main gateways are Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, and like I said, all from Los Angeles direct. Now, that flight is going to take you about 14 hours. And not to forget, you're going to have your connector airfare over to Los Angeles as well. Now, with that being said, I know it's daunting. I know it sounds like it's a lot of hours, but it doesn't feel like it's a lot of hours. We actually call these flights a tour in air. And the reason we say that is because when you get on board, the services are so fantastic, and the entertainment system with all your movies and your music and all that is great as well. Now, like I said, it feels easier than it sounds. When you get on these flights in Los Angeles, it's at night. So you're going to get on, you're going to have dinner, you're going to watch a movie or two, you'll sleep, wake up for breakfast and watch a movie, and then you're there. And it does feel that easy. I do this flight a couple of times a year, and I can honestly tell you the worst portion of that entire segment for me is from Toronto to LA. Because I know I'm getting onto a long haul. I've got to do the transfer in the airport. That really is the worst part of the flight. And then once you're on the long haul, it's comfortable, and away you go. Now, Qantas also operates Qantas Link and Jetstar domestically. There's 5,600 flights a week servicing 59 of the cities. So really, you've got ample opportunity to get around the destination. Now, of course, there's different classes of service on board as well. You've got the economy seats, which are very comfortable, and they are spacious. They're unlike a typical domestic Canada flight. They're a little bit more spacious than that, and cushier seats as well. The trick to flying long haul is to make sure that you get up every once in a while and walk around the flight. That'll get your circulation pumping. You've got your meal service and economy. Your premium economy is your upgrade from there. So this is like middle between your economy and business class. And what happens here is you have a deeper pitch on the plane, like on the back of your seat. So it's going to go back a little bit further. And they're a little bit more spacious as well. They also get the services of business class, so the food is a little different as well. Then, of course, you've got the ultimate flying experience, which is business class. This is a lay flat bed. Now, I'm about 5'4", maybe a little less, and I can stretch out no problem. My ex-husband's 6 foot, and he can stretch out no problem, and very, very comfortable all the way there. So, you know, if you're looking for an easier way to fly, that definitely is the way. Of course, the meal service is a little different. You've got just a little bit more, and definitely you've got more free-flowing wine as well. You also have snacks available throughout the flight. Then you have Air New Zealand. Now, I love Air New Zealand. It's one of my favorite carriers. They're really innovative. Their services are incredible. Their entertainment systems are amazing. And I mean, even their in-flight safety video is incredible. And if I could show it to you, I would. But unfortunately, the GoToMeeting doesn't do video. But if you ever YouTube it, it's called MIB Air New Zealand. It's hilarious. You'll love it. Now, Air New Zealand operates on average about 500 flights a day, going to 52 cities. So you've, again, got lots of ways to get around. Now, the best thing about Air New Zealand for us Canadians is that it goes from Vancouver. So you don't have to fly to LA if you're going to New Zealand or Australia. You can go to Vancouver. Now, if you're going to Australia, you just have to keep in mind that it goes via Auckland to get into Sydney. This is what your economy seats look like, very large entertainment systems and very comfortable. The upgrade from there, now if you want to stretch out just a little bit, there is, with just above economy, there's a class called Sky Couch, and it's 3 seats that actually pulls out into like a couch, and you can lay down, as you can see in this image, and it's very, very comfortable. And your travel time advisor can help you with that as well. We have the premium economy, very much like the Qantas premium economy, so a deeper pitch in your seat, so you're going to lay back a little bit further, and the services of business class. We also have the new space seats. These are really, really cool. Like I said, Air New Zealand is incredibly innovative, and they're, you know, cutting the way for carriers to upgrade to these amazing new types of seats. And these space seats are great for couples traveling together. As you can see, you can dine together, and they lay down a little bit more, and it's just very, very comfortable. Now, speaking of comfort, if you want to lay flat, of course, there's a business premier. A little different from the Qantas, where Qantas is a seat. This actually has walls. So it actually does, you know, divide you from the other passengers and gives you a little bit more privacy throughout the night. Now, your travel options for Australia and New Zealand, there's many ways to see these destinations, starting with escorted vacations. Now, if you're the type of traveler that wants everything included, escorted vacations is the way to go. My prior role to being a destination specialist through Travel 2, I was actually the rep for this coach line, AAT Kings. And I can tell you, everything's included. Most of your meals, I mean, some meals won't be, certain lunches and whatnot, but you can grab an Aussie meat pie on the go and do what you'd like there. But most meals are included, all your transportation, all your sightseeing, all your accommodations. All you have to do is sit back, relax, and enjoy the view. So it's a fantastic way to travel. Now, there are different levels within escorted touring, from premium to first class choices. And really the biggest difference there is accommodation, all of which is centrally located. But in your first class, you're going to have first class accommodation. And in your Best Buys or Travel Marvel, which is more of your moderate accommodation escorted tours, you'll still be centrally located, but very much like Holiday Inns. The rule of thumb with Australia and New Zealand is they tend to undergrade their accommodation by about a half a star, so you get more value for your money, which is fantastic. Like I said, daily breakfast included, some dinners. They don't like to pack your itinerary on the escorted tours every single night, because you're going to want to get out and you're going to want to see some of the local pubs and meet the locals while you're out. So we tend not to book every minute of your day on these escorted tours. They're not like they were 20, 30 years ago. There's a lot more leisure time, and it flows much better. Of course, you're going to have a tour director and local guides for all your sightseeing highlights throughout the itineraries. Escorted tours are very big in making sure that there's a huge element of cultural experiences. Now, of course, it would be Aboriginal in Australia and Maori in New Zealand. And there's no better way to really understand a country without learning the culture. That's the great thing about these escorted tours, is that you're learning about the destination. Your tour guides, your local guides are teaching you about these incredible things that you're viewing. Now, there are those of us who love self-drives as well. And we do the self-drive vacations, which you'll see in a moment, but you're just not going to get that education that you get on the escorted tours. Now, I've left this photo up a little long because I know it's an adorable photo. I actually took this myself, and it's really easy to do. All you have to do is put feed in your hand, like some kangaroo food that you're given at the sanctuaries. Put it up to your chest, get your camera ready, and you'll get a beautiful shot like that with a big doe-eyed kangaroo. Now, wildlife encounters are a must. You want to see the native Aussie wildlife. I mean, it's just absolutely spectacular, from koalas, kangaroos, echidnas, wombats, Tasmanian devils, crocodiles, while you're there. Also exploring some really fascinating sites. Now, what you're looking at here is the pinnacles in Western Australia, and it's more of a petrified forest is what we call it. But it's just an incredible golden sand with these big rocks and the ocean behind it, and it's just a really incredible sight to see. So we make sure that all of these sites are within your escorted tours. Now, of course, you'll have all of your trip highlights laid out for you. Right now, we've got a great promotion going on escorted tours, which your travel time advisor can definitely help you with. And they'll tell you all the applicable dates and all the ins and outs of the tours. Now, the tour I want to just kind of dive into is an overall tour, Australia, New Zealand. It's a 15-day tour, so you're going to see really the icons, the highlights of the two destinations. Some of the highlights that are included on this trip: cruising the Great Barrier Reef. You cannot go to Australia for the first time and not see the Great Barrier Reef. It's absolutely amazing. It's about the size of Great Britain, and it's a living organism. It's so colorful and beautiful. And of course, we make sure that that type of trip is included in your escorted tour. Now, you can snorkel or you can dive. There's many options on the Great Barrier Reef. Toasting at Uluru Sunset with wine. Now, Uluru, better known as Ayers Rock, Uluru is the Aboriginal name. This is the world's largest monolith. It can be seen from space. It's pretty incredible. But there's something really special that happens in the outback over the rock when the sun is setting. The rock actually changes color. Now, it's one sandstone. It's one big rock, and it goes from this bright orange color to a deep red, to a purpley color, to blue, and then you can't see it anymore. And then you're underneath the amazing Milky Way. You got to remember, you're in the outback. There are no cities around you, so it's going to be the starriest sky that you're ever going to look at. Of course, you know, being in the Outback is about learning the culture as well. So one of the highlights is to interact with a local community, and you get to learn about their artists and some of the artwork that they've done, and you'll even be taught how to do a dot painting on your own. Exploring Catajuta, or better known as the Olgas. These are 36 sandstone domes that are they're about 15 minutes away from Ayers Rock, and you actually get to walk through Walpole Gorge, which is absolutely stunning. While you're there, look up at the sky. If there's any clouds in the sky, it feels like the gorge walls are moving. It's really neat to see, and definitely something that is included on the itinerary. While in Sydney, there's no better way than to see it by the water, so you're going to do a lunch cruise on the Sydney Harbor. You can see it's quite the feast, but more importantly, you're going to get some of those most iconic photo shots that you see online with the bridge and the Opera House as your background. There's also an Opera House tour. Now, this is a guided tour, and it's going to take you through all the different theaters and teach you about how the structure was built. It's pretty amazing, and it has been built for sound. So while you're in Sydney, a good idea is to leave yourself a leisure evening and go and see a show. There's so many different types of shows, from plays to concerts to even mud wrestling I've seen there. So I didn't personally see it, I saw it on the board. I knew it was there. So there's tons of different things playing every single night at the Opera House. So definitely make sure to include that in your trip if you've got the time for it. Bondi Beach is a very popular surf beach in New South Wales, just north of Sydney, and the escorted tour comes down here and spends some leisure time as well. Now into New Zealand highlights, we've got the Glowworm Grotto. Now this is located in Waitomo, just as you're going through to get to Rotorua, which is the geothermal area of New Zealand. The tour takes you into a cave, and you get into this low water cruise, and you're guided by hand and rope through this cave system, and it opens up, and there's all these twinkling lights above you, and that's the glowworms. And it's really amazing to see, because it looks like the starry night at sky, or the sky at night. It's absolutely beautiful. While in Rotorua too, it's all about culture. This is like the Maori Mecca of New Zealand, and there is an amazing tour called Tamaki, where you are taken through an exhibit, which is a replication of what the villages used to look like back in the day, and you learn about the weaponry and the song and the dance and the weaving and the cooking of the food underground. It's just an incredible evening, and you can just immerse yourself in that culture. Also in New Zealand, one of the highlights is Milford Sound. Now this is down on the South Island of New Zealand. And this is a fjordland where these majestic fjords are just popping out of the water. And while you're there, you want to pray for rain. When it rains, the waterfalls are so much bigger and more amazing than ever. There's hundreds of them just cascading off the fjords. It's pretty amazing to see, and you do a 2-hour cruise there. Lots of wildlife as well. You'll see dolphins and seals and penguins and all sorts of great stuff. Queenstown is also a highlight. Now this is an overview of Queenstown taken from Bob's Peak, and that is actually where the restaurant Skyline is, where you can have your evening and watching the sunset on the Remarkable Range, which is this right here that you're looking at right here. Now, in Queenstown, it's all about adventure. So there's thrilling shot-over jet boat rides, there's parachuting, hang gliding, bungee jumping, there's cruising. You can get on a vintage TSS Earnslaw steamship to go over to a cattle farm where you can have a barbecue dinner. There's so many things to do in Queenstown, and it's such a beautiful alpine city that it's on all itineraries going to New Zealand. It is a must-see. Now, small group tours is another way to travel as well. They are similar to the large group tours, but smaller in scale. Now, the large group tour, you're going to have a maximum of 50 passengers, and on the small group, it's a maximum of 20 to 21 people. What I like more about the small group is that because it's a smaller vehicle, it can get into areas the big vehicles can't, which opens up our opportunity to take you to some really unique places. So definitely the way to go. Now, people ask me all the time, you know, what are the ages on these tours? You know, the small group tour, baby boomers are loving the small group experience. So that definitely is, if you're a baby boomer, that's right up your alley. If you're looking for a larger group tour, it tends to be a bit of a higher age bracket. And then, of course, the 30 and 40-somethings, they tend to trickle into the small group tours and or FITs, which are fully independent tours, and I'll talk about those later. With the small group tours, the accommodation is boutique. It could be anywhere from a 3 to 4-star accommodation, but boutique means something unique and different, something that has flavor of the region. What you're looking at here is actually Millbrook in Queenstown. It's set on a golf course and a winery at the foothills of the mountains. It's absolutely beautiful. Breakfast is included daily on the small groups, some dinners as well, sightseeing by local guides, and remember, you're in smaller groups, so there's a lot more personal attention given to you by the guides and the local guides as well. Many stops along route. Now this goes for the big tours as well, the larger escorted tours. For every hour and a half, there's a stop, and it's usually a 20-minute stop. Sometimes if it's just a two-leg or a 2-hour journey, say from Christchurch to Queenstown, then of course there's not going to be a 20-minute stop. There might be a quick stop for a wash and break, but 2 hours we can keep you on board. Other than that, we want to let you get off and stretch your legs and spend some time in, seaside villages or unique little towns like what you're looking at here, which is Arrowtown. It's in Queenstown. It's an old gold mining town, so there's lots of antique shops and really amazing little shops to get some souvenirs in. So we make sure that with the escorted tours that you're getting out and seeing and experiencing along the way. Cultural highlights is a big thing on the small group tours as well, so we make sure that that is definitely within your itinerary. And unique experiences. Now, I showed you Milford Sound earlier on the large group tour. That's a 2-hour cruise. But if you take the small group tour, then you have the overnight Milford Mariner, which is the overnight cruise on Milford Sound. It's absolutely beautiful. Now, what's unique about this, other than it being overnight, is it backs up to a waterfall at night, and you hear the trickling sounds of the waterfall, and it just soothes you to sleep. It's really beautiful. And then in the morning, you have time to get into kayaks and tender boats and go and see the wildlife. So it's just a lot more time within the sound itself. Now, I do suggest a tender boat because a guide will go on there with you and take you to some spots where they know there's wildlife. If you're in the kayak, you're on your own. So you're kind of just kayaking around and trying to explore on your own. Now, fully independent touring, this is 80% of the travelers to Australia and New Zealand. This is really where you get to choose what you do. You're not traveling with the same group all the way through the countryside. You're asking for accommodation, transfers, and local sightseeing. So on the local sightseeing, you're going to be traveling with different people each day, depending on when you have your tours booked. So for example, if you're in Sydney and you have a city tour, whoever's booked into that city tour goes with you. And then if you have the next day you're going on the harbor cruise, well then you're going with whatever passengers are booked for that day. So it's very more like freewheeling. You're doing your own thing, but you're still getting that element of touring, which is wonderful. Now with the day tours, the best thing to tell your travel time specialist is what are your interests. This is the best way for your specialist to be able to make sure that they get the right itinerary for you. And remember, the first quote is never the last quote. The first time we quote you is really an idea of what you can be doing in destination. We can make changes. We can, rejig the format of the entire itinerary just to make sure that it's exactly what you want. But like we said, we need to know what your interests are. Perhaps maybe it's culture and landscape or wildlife. It really depends on what you want to see and do. We have we have day tours for all types of different experiences. From wildlife experiences, if you want to get up close to the native Aussie wildlife, we definitely have tours that can get you there. If you want to do a nature tour, we've got lots of those. What you're looking at here is actually Kakadu. It's the wetlands of Australia. It's in the top end of Australia. And during their rain season, what you're looking at, the land here is completely submerged in water, and it's pretty amazing to see. Now there are certain times of year where it is closed, but we can let you know that when and if that's the destination you're going to. Food and wine experiences. I mean, you're not going to get better wine than you do in Australia. It's absolutely delicious, and New Zealand as well. They produce some of the best wines. Now, there are so many ways. I know we're talking about day tours right now, but just so you know, if you wanted to do a full winery itinerary and go from winery to winery, we can do that. If you want to stay at a boutique B&B on a winery, we've got that too. So there's tons of choices for you to be able to get out and experience and taste the wine and experience the winery regions. Now, one of the most popular winery regions is Barossa Valley in South Australia, and there, like I said, there are some incredible boutique accommodations out there. But the day tours that we have, you can either do as a large group or a small group. I suggest a small group because it's a gourmet tour, so you'll actually have a really nice lunch. You go to several wineries. I mean, you'll be feeling great by the end of the day. It's a great way to tour. Then we've got dining experiences, lots of unique dining experiences. This is at TSS Earnslaw that I was telling you about, the vintage steamship in Queenstown that goes across to Walter Peak Station, and you learn a little bit about the farm and have a big barbecue dinner. We can do lunches as well, but again, this is a day tour, but more of a dining experience as well. Historical experiences, I mean, there are tons of them through Australia and New Zealand. One of my favorites is Port Arthur in Tasmania. This is where Australia started. Now, this is where all the convicts were sent, actually. So when they say Australia's been built on the back of convicts, that's the hands-down truth. And the penal settlement here is really interesting. You can see all the ruins are left from back in the day, but you would have a local guide that would take you from each building and teach you about all these different buildings, what they were used for. It's really a fascinating day. And if any of you online are into ghost tours, they do a night tour, and it's pretty amazing as well. Cultural experiences, we got plenty of day tours to do that, whether it be Aboriginal or Maori. We can certainly put that into your itinerary. Another way to travel is self-drive vacations. So self-drive vacations, there are two ways to do this. You can either rent a car and have open-dated hotel passes. What that means is you're able to travel from city to city or town to town and show up at a hotel and use one of your vouchers. The other way is a preset itinerary where we choose the hotels for you. Remember, us plus your specialists from Travel Time have been to these hotels, so we can tell you which ones are the best ones. But that's up to you. Now, the thing is, I highly recommend, and in fact, I don't even believe we'll book in the high season. So I would say right from September to March, don't do open-dated passes because there is limited accommodation, especially in New Zealand, and it's a busy time. So, you know, you don't want to show up at a hotel and not have any rooms available and have to drive to another hotel that might not have rooms available. So let us pre-book during those months. If you want motorhomes, we can do that as well, and we have everything from a 2-berth to a 6-berth. What that means is 2 people to 6 people that it can fit. And motorhome vacations are really, you know, a cost-saving way to travel. They're not as expensive as if you were going to be doing a whole bunch of touring because you're doing it on your own and your accommodation's going with you. So it's pretty easy to get around. You've got comfortable interiors. You've got, I always say dining with a view. It's a good way to say it. Relax and unwind anywhere. So you can just pull off anywhere and just enjoy a beach. Now, with that being said, at night, you do have to camp. You have to go to the campsites. But there are no better campsites than there are in New Zealand. I mean, they have coastal views. They're absolutely beautiful. Just a great way to travel. If you are a rail buff, there are some really fantastic rail journeys in New Zealand and in Australia. Now, in New Zealand, the one that I recommend is the Transalpine, and it goes from Christchurch to Greymouth. It goes right through the Southern Alps. And it's absolutely beautiful. It's a breathtaking journey, great scenery. Make sure your camera is ready because you're going to see some amazing views along that journey. That's a few hours to get across. Doesn't take long at all. And then when you get into Greymouth, most people would then come down to Franz Josef to see the glacier towns. In Australia, there are much longer rail experiences. So from Adelaide up through the top end to Darwin, this is a 47-hour journey. So you do not want to book a seat. You want to book gold or better on both the GON and the Indian Pacific. I'm going to show you what gold means in a second. The Indian Pacific is a 67-hour train journey, and it goes from Sydney to Perth. This is the greatest distance in Australia to travel. But, you know, like I said, if you're a rail buff, this is a great way to go. And, you know, it is a tour. You're going to stop in these places, and you'll have opportunities to get out and explore. And they've got a list of tours that you can do. Some do cost, so if you're going to do like a helicopter tour, that will cost. But if you're going to do a local guided tour, that won't. Now, the Gold Sleeper is a twin cabin, two pieces of luggage, and they can be stored for you, but you're not going to have access to them. So if you're going to do the Gold Sleeper, then what you want to do is bring an overnight bag on board with you, and you do have your own bathroom as well. Very convenient, and this is a drop-down bed up here. Or you can do the Platinum. Now, the Platinum is much more spacious. You've actually got windows on both sides of your cabin, and when the couch is out, you've got your bed. So really comfortable way to experience it, and definitely my favorite category within the rail journeys. Of course, you have a sizable bathroom as well, and you have access, if you are either Platinum or Gold, to the lounge areas, which is really what you want on these long train journeys. You want to be able to mix with the locals on board and have a beer or a glass of wine and enjoy the view as you go. There's also a restaurant car on both journeys as well, and a chef on board. So you're going to have some really elegant meals prepared for you, and just very, very tasty. In fact, they've won awards year after year. Now, breakfast, lunch, and dinner are all included. They can be served in your cabin or in the restaurant. That is completely up to you. Off-train excursions, like I said, in each of those areas where they stop, you'll have opportunity to get out and do some really unique touring in those areas. What you're looking at here is actually camels to, I think that's camels to breakfast. They do it for all meals. But camels to breakfast, and it's just a different type of tour. A lot of people don't know how many camels there actually are in Australia. They're not native to Australia. They were brought in prior to the rail lines being built, and they were used to transport goods from place to place. Well, when they didn't need them anymore, they set them free, and they're like rabbits. They populated like crazy. There's 6 million roaming camels in the outback. So pretty incredible, and in fact, apparently, if you catch one, he's yours. I don't know if you can get it past customs, but you can try. Like I said, you also have optional upgrades on your off-train excursions as well. That could be an additional cost, like a helicopter or a scenic flight. We also do luxury vacations and or experiences. What I mean by experiences is day tours. There's luxury day tours, whether it be a gourmet tour into the winery or, you know, a small group tour to the Blue Mountains, which would be considered luxury. Now, luxury vacations are on the rise from Canada, especially doing it even just in one segment of your itinerary. So for example, if you're going to travel to Australia and say you're going to do moderate, maybe first-class accommodation throughout, and you want to do one luxury experience, do it at the end of, if you can, do it at the end of your trip, because it's just going to be that wow, ultimate experience. Now, there's many different luxury accommodations throughout Australia and New Zealand. There's 19 in Australia. There's 42, I believe, in New Zealand. So I'm going to go through a couple of them so you can see what they look like and just show you how different they are from regular hotels. So there's a One and Only. That's one of the best brands in the tourism business. Now, One and Only in Woolgan Valley, it's owned by Emirates, and it's located close to the Blue Mountains, about 2.5-hour drive from Sydney. And this is what we call rustic luxury. It's absolutely incredible. There's 15 cabins in total, and it's just got this vast land and beautiful scenery, you know, all around you, 360-degree view. Now, they've got several different types of accommodation. Heritage villages, there's 36 of them, and they have these incredible lap pools on the side of them. And in fact, these windows all open up, so it's an outdoor pool as well. So pretty incredible to see that. There's 2- and 3-bedroom villas available as well, ranging from 2,000 to 4,000 square feet. I mean, 4,000 square feet, that's bigger than my house. Pure luxury and simplicity with gardens and terraces is what we say. It's absolutely gorgeous. And of course, with the 2- and 3-bedroom village, your pools are a little bit bigger. And again, you can see they all the windows pull back, making it feel like you're outdoors. All of the common areas are very cozy and luxurious with the open fires and a glass of port at night with a beautiful view. There's a pool facilities, there's gym facilities, spa facilities. You can do yoga outside if you'd like. Beautiful dining rooms. You don't have to dress up for these places. It's all very casual. The restaurant as well, an award-winning chef works here, and he actually grows his own produce on site, so very, very fresh. There's a bar and terrace. There's private dining areas throughout the acreage, and then, of course, the activities. These luxury accommodations are incredible for their activities. So there's horseback riding, archery, nature walks, bike hires, 4-wheel drive adventures, campfires, glowworm tours. I mean, I could go on and on and on. But the best thing about Wogan Valley is the wildlife. Blue Mountains is known for wildlife. So you could be sitting in your accommodation and just watching kangaroos bounce by your accommodation. Absolutely incredible, exactly what you want to see when you're in Australia. Now heading north and east on the east coast is Qualia. Now Qualia is actually located on Hamilton Island. So you would fly from any of the major cities over to Hamilton Island and then over to your accommodation, Qualia. Now Qualia has been built with the timbers of the area, and it's just an incredible location. When you walk in the front door, you're going to see this little infinity pool, and it's just, like I said, it's just beautiful. You've got the Leeward Pavilion. This is your lead-in accommodation, so you can see for a lead-in, very spacious. Then there's the Windward, which is much larger, where the plunge pool, and the beach house where Oprah stayed. Now, Oprah actually traveled through Australia with 300 of her viewers, and this was her accommodation while she was on Hamilton Island. So very special. Infinity pool, spa and health fitness facilities, and then of course lots of restaurants and signature experiences where you can actually cook with the chef and or do mixology classes. So completely up to you how you want to do that. Now some of the signature experiences also include touring. So Qualia actually has a little private boat, and it can take you out to a secluded beach with a picnic. Very romantic, and you can just spend some time with your loved one enjoying the water and the view. Non-motorized water activities are included, and of course there are motorized activities that are at a cost that you can do as well, either sailing or boating. You can go out and maybe even catch a glimpse of the whale migration as that happens, or you can do an actual day tour. So from Hamilton Island, you can actually go out to a station pontoon called Reef World, which is situated right on the Great Barrier Reef, and as you can see, you just jump in, you can snorkel. There's actually an underwater viewing deck as well. There's a marine biologist on board that can teach you all about the beautiful coral that you're looking at, and or you can take the boat out and you can go diving. There's also a semi-submersible as well, and there's helicopter flights available. Whitehaven Beach, absolutely beautiful white silica sand sweeping through the water and into the islands. Now we can do private beach picnics here. You can do helicopter flights. There's island tours, all from Hamilton Island, all accessible from staying at Qualia. Like I said, there's heli tours over the reef, and there's no better way to actually understand how big the reef is than to see it from the air. It's absolutely beautiful. Jet ski tours, jet rider tours, golfing, nature walks, all at Hamilton Island. And if you're not into doing the luxury accommodation on Hamilton Island, there are 3- and 4-star hotels available as well. So you can still get all of this and do it more on a moderate basis. It's completely up to you. One of the only few places that you can cuddle a koala as well, and that's a big must for us Canadians. We love that. You can't cuddle any of our wildlife out here in Canada, so you know we get over there, and why not cuddle a koala? They're cute. They smell, but they're cute, and it gives a great photo. Really great photo for you to take home. Now there's a conservation area on Hamilton Island where you can learn about the native Aussie wildlife, and then of course, like I said, get your photo cuddling a koala. And they give you real time with that koala too. They kind of fiddle with the camera a little bit, saying that they're just kind of getting prepared and set up, but they're really just giving you some more time. There's local shops and restaurants on the Hamilton Island as well. It's a big, it's one of the biggest islands. We call it the heart of the Whitsundays because, I mean, you've got day trippers that come to Hamilton Island. There's plenty of accommodation and things to do as well. Now going straight to the top and in Darwin, the reason I want to show you Bamaroo Plains is because it's so unique and different. This is like luxury camping safari style. It's very much off the beaten path. You'd fly to Darwin and then transfer out to the property. It's a 4-star property. And there are, like I said, they're like safari bungalows. They're really unique. They're elevated from the ground, heated flooring, so really, really nice. And beautiful view to see the wildlife that walks by. Everything's included. This is an all-inclusive property, including your tours. So there's guided walks, there's bird watching, airboat tours, breakfast on an airboat. You can go croc spotting, 4-wheel drive adventures, and wildlife spotting, and there's plenty of wildlife in the top end, from wallabies to wallaroos and dingoes, you name it, it's there. Into the outback. Now, Ayers Rock, or as the Aboriginal name is, Uluru, there is a place called Longitude 131. Now, this is the luxury accommodation in the outback. There are other options if you wanted to keep it more moderate or first class, but this is your luxury lodge. Now, there are 15 safari-style tents, and they are so comfortable, these places, absolutely beautiful. You've got wall-to-wall, floor-to-ceiling windows, beautiful, huge deck, canopy roof. You're elevated from the ground. The washroom's in behind here. Just very, very spacious. But the biggest thing about this is that it's the only property that's going to give you this view of Uluru. It's absolutely beautiful. I mean, you don't have to go out and do a tour to go see the rock. If you just wanted to sit back and enjoy your accommodation with a glass of wine, there's a little fire pit out here, and then just watch the sun set. Absolutely beautiful. But with that being said, there's nothing like doing the sounds of silence. That is a dinner tour in the outback where you watch the sun go down and you have your feet in the red sand while you enjoy a gourmet dinner. It's really fantastic, and that's an option that Travel Time can definitely make sure to put into your itinerary. Had to show you a beautiful magical sunset in the outback. It's absolutely gorgeous. Of course, there's restaurants and lounge areas at this property. There's pool facilities. There's a workout facility as well. The touring is all by small group that Longitude 131 provides. And of course, you can do optional touring outside of Longitude 131, which would be an additional April of this year for the next 12 months. So if you're planning on going within the next several months, and to Australia, please put the outback in your itinerary, because right now there are 50,000 lights around Uluru. They're solar-powered lights, and it's just, look at this. It's just absolutely beautiful, and it's only happening this one time that we're aware of at this point. So definitely a sight to see. Nightly sunset cocktails at Longitude 131. They have exclusive dining as well, and that's what it looks like when the sun is down. Look at that sky. It's absolute, that's the Milky Way that you're looking at right there. It's absolutely amazing to see. And there's stargazing on site as well, so they've got some really great telescopes that you can look through. And it really is the outback in style. Down to Kangaroo Island. Now, Kangaroo Island is in South Australia. This is my favorite place in all of Australia. You want a wildlife experience, you got to go to Kangaroo Island. So you're going to fly to Adelaide, then you're going to coach down to your ferry, and then over to Kangaroo Island, and that journey takes about 2 hours in total, or you can fly from Adelaide to Kangaroo Island to make it a little quicker. Lots of property, well, there's a few properties out on Kangaroo Island, but an option in every category, so 3-star, 4-star, and then of course your luxury lodge, which is what you're looking at here. That's a Southern Ocean Lodge. There's 21 suites in total, and this is one of the most innovative lodges that Australia has to offer, and it has a view of the amazing coastline as well. And the suites are just incredible. There's no other property like this right now. Flinders Suite is your lead-in, and you've got an oversized rain shower, terrace, and daybed all included. There are some larger suites, and then there are 2- and 3-bedroom suites, all very spacious. As you can see, the very good layout as well. You got a bit of an outdoor area. There's your bedroom, your bathroom. There's another seating area outside here, and then you've got a lounge area. So very, very spacious. Lots of indoor and outdoor lounge areas around the property itself. A daily changing menu, which is fantastic. You've got outside dining experiences with that beautiful coastal view. There's a spa on site as well. But being on Kangaroo Island is really about seeing the wildlife. And I mean, this is it in its glory. You're not going to get a better experience than on Kangaroo Island. Lots of kangaroos, of course. There's Seal Bay as well that you can go down and see the seals and get really close to them. You're going to see the koalas chilling out in the trees as well. There's Seal Bay. And look at how close these people are to the seals. You're actually going to go down in a small group, and you're just going to watch them in their daily rituals. And they'll walk around you. It's pretty amazing to see that. Dolphin adventures are available, pelican feedings, national parks, lots of walking trails. You can go see the remarkable rocks. You can do all of this on a tour of Kangaroo Island. You can get through Kelly Hill Caves. And like I said, just plenty to do there. Now, there's 42 luxury lodges in New Zealand, so I'm just going to show you one of my favorites, which is the Farm at Cape Kidnappers. This is on the North Island in the Hawke's Bay region, so in the winery region of the North Island. Now, this lodge is actually a restored farm, and it's rustic luxury, as I was saying, with the Wolga, very similar to that. Absolutely beautiful. Lots of lounge areas outside and inside. Library on site. The rooms are very fresh and clean. You've got a restaurant on site, an award-winning chef here as well, who does all of his own farming, which is fantastic. Lots of activities as well, from biking, 4-wheel drive touring, ATV adventures if you're a little bit more adventurous, picnic areas, walking trails. There's a tour to go see the gannet colonies. There's a beautiful pool on site. There's a spa and workout facilities as well. But most importantly, for golfers online with us tonight, if there are any, is the links course that it's set upon. It is absolutely amazing. I'm a golfer, and I can tell you this is one of the hardest courses I have ever played. And this is what makes that lodge so unique. And that's why I'm saying, like, these lodges are, there's an element of difference between that and a regular hotel, and this is why. For the thrill seeker, we've got adventure vacations. Now in Australia, you know, you can do everything from climbing the bridge to going croc spotting in the top end. There's so many ways to get the element of adventure in, and we're happy to definitely put an itinerary together for you with that. New Zealand, that's where adventure was born. This is a shot-over jet that you're looking at here. Now this jet boat ride, it was born in New Zealand, or created in New Zealand. These boats can go in all of 4 inches of water, and they are incredibly fast, and they whip down a canyon and do 360s. We call it thrill therapy. So for those thrill seekers out there, we can definitely put an itinerary together for you. Pre- and post-cruise options. So these are basically 3, 4, 5-day stays in some areas throughout Australia, New Zealand, Tahiti, Fiji, Bali, and Hong Kong. And what that is round-trip transportation, accommodation, and local sightseeing. And we can make sure that in the port of calls as you're cruising from one destination to the next, that we've got you taken care of for your land arrangements in each of the ports. Exotic vacations. Well, you know, we've got a whole line of exotic vacations, and what we mean by that are different types of places like Papua New Guinea or Koh Samui, Chiang Mai, Chiang Rai, places like that. Papua New Guinea, for example, the Mount Hagen Festival, absolutely incredible to see that, and we have a tour that does that with accommodation and transfers as well. Now, within the exotic vacations, it's not just about out-of-the-way places. Sydney is actually in this lineup, and the reason being, at a certain time of year, from April to June, from March to June, it's a festival called Vivid, and it's where everything lights up, including the Opera House. So all those images you see online with the Opera House with these different pictures on it, that's during Vivid, and that is what we call an exotic vacation, to do something at a different time of year where, it's giving you a different view of the area that you're in, like Vivid in Sydney. So really incredible experiences within that product lineup. There, I should have just changed the slide. There you go. That's what Vivid is in Sydney. And it's not just the Opera House. The bridge is lit up. The buildings are lit up. The cruises are lit up. It's a beautiful time to go and see Sydney. Group vacations, if you're out there traveling with a group of friends or family, can certainly do that for you as well. It's a minimum of 10 people. Family vacations, I mean, Australia is all about family vacations, New Zealand as well, and we can tell you some of the best places to take the kids. Romance vacations. Now, we've got them across Australia, Tahiti, Fiji, Cook Islands, and Asia, but when I think romance, I really think about the islands. Now, all the carriers go from Los Angeles, so you have to go from Alberta or BC to Los Angeles to hook in with either Fiji Airways, Air Tahiti Nui, or if you're going to the Cook Islands, this is actually something a little different. If you're going to the Cook Islands, Air New Zealand flies there, so you can go from Vancouver. Now, taking a little bit of a closer look at what we can do out here. So we've got island stopovers and getaways. So that ranges from, say, a 4-day stopover coming home from, say, Australia or New Zealand. And you just want to spend a few days on the beach, we can do that. Or a getaway. If you're going to spend your entire vacation on the islands, we can help you with that as well. Before I move on from this photo, this is actually a good photo to kind of explain Tahiti a little bit. A lot of people do ask me, why is Tahiti at the top of the price range? I'll tell you why. You see all this reef? That is surrounding the islands, on each of the islands, and it stops the high and low tide from coming in and out. So they're able to create the overwater bungalows on a very calm lagoon. Now, with that being said, if you're looking at other destinations that have overwater bungalows, if it's not Tahiti, then I can tell you right now, you might be stilted over mud for a portion of the day. Not in all cases, but in most cases. So that's why Tahiti is unlike any other place. Another reason is that in 1 year in Tahiti, or French Polynesia, they see the amount of passengers that Hawaii sees in 1 week. So although the accommodation in high season can be completely booked out, it won't feel like it's crowded, and it won't feel like there are other people at the resort. Most of the time you'll only see them at dinner if you're going to the restaurants. So, I mean, it's pretty amazing. I've been there in high season, and I could count on 1 or 2 hands how many people I saw on the beach. So a really unique experience. And like I said, it's just these calm, beautiful lagoons with stilted accommodation over it. There's nothing like it. Now, Air Tahiti Nui is your main carrier for Tahiti, going from LA. Now, from LA to Tahiti, it's only 8 hours. It's a lot closer than people think. I did forget to tell you, New Zealand from Vancouver is 12.5 hours. Now, the 8 hours away to get to Tahiti, I mean, that's amazing. And it doesn't feel like it's an 8-hour flight because it's a nighttime flight and you're going to sleep on it. Now, this is what the overwater bungalows look like. They're pretty amazing. And they, there's nothing like this. I mean, you can just jump off your platform into the water. It's a wow experience, that's for sure. If you are trying to save a few bucks when you're trying to do Tahiti, the way to do that is to do a few nights in either beach or garden bungalows and then leave your wow experience in the overwater bungalows to the end of your trip for the last few nights. That's if you want to save a few bucks. If you want to go all out and really have an experience, those overwater bungalows can't be beaten. They are absolutely amazing. Now for French Polynesia, no visa is required. And I should have told you for New Zealand, no visa, but Australia, you do need a visa. So, and Travel Time can walk you through that and can help you with that. Local currency is in Pacific francs. Credit cards are widely accepted. Tahitian and French are the two official languages, but English is widely spoken. It's typically warm and sunny year-round, average temperature 25 to 30 degrees. Their summer is November to April, and their winter is May to October. And we always tell you pack as light as you possibly can because it's casual clothing all the time, and you're going to be in your beach wear for most of the time. So ladies, you just need to bring a few dresses with you that just go over your bathing suit, and away you go. You're ready to go. There's 118 islands in total, but to be honest, from North America, this is where you're going to travel the most, the Society Islands. Most people are going to fly into Tahiti. Well, everybody's going to fly into Tahiti or Papeete right here. And then the typical traveler is going to go to Moorea, which is right here, and then Bora Bora, which is up over here. So that's typically what people are going to do. Now, of course, there are many other islands. You want more adventure, we can bring you out to these islands out here. Great diving and all sorts of fun stuff out there as well. But we don't have all night to go on and on about every single island here, so I'm just going to keep going. Luxurious overwater bungalows, this is what they look like. Now, the thing is, inside, they're absolutely beautiful as well, but all of them are fitted with some type of glass, either glass floor or glass table that you could look down and see the fish right below you. And at night, all the lights underneath come on, and it just glows this beautiful aqua color under the accommodation. Really amazing. But best part of this is, like I said, you can jump off right into the water. Relaxing spa options throughout French Polynesia. There's unique dining options. If you want to dine in the water, you can. Pretty incredible. Island activities from ATVs to island tours. There's resort activities, non-motorized and motorized. There's nightly performances, cultural performances, which are a must while you're there. And then we've also got Fiji. Now, Fiji Airways only goes from LA, so that's one thing that you have to note there, that you would have to fly to LA. Now, things to know for Fiji, no visa required. What they say with their weather, warm, warmer, and warmest is what they say. So summer is November to April, and winter May to October, much like Tahiti. Pack light again for this as well, and local currency is Fijian, and credit cards are widely accepted. Now, the typical traveler coming to Fiji is going to fly into the main gate, which is Nadi, and they're either going to go to the Mamanusa Islands up here or Yasawa Islands. This is typically where travelers go. But if you want adventure, you can come over to these islands here, and you're going to get some really incredible adventure islands and great diving as well. In fact, there's even a beautiful luxury accommodation set in the forest up in Vuonalevu, where it's an all-inclusive, and each unit of accommodation is different. You have your own plunge pools. It's absolutely beautiful. Now, Viti Levu means big island, and Vuonalevu means small island. So these are your two main islands that you're going to see. There's a lot of accommodation along the Coral Coast as well down here that you can stay at. And in fact, Natadola Beach is where the Intercontinental is located, and that is the best beach in all of Fiji. Okariki, which is just out, it's not on this map, but it's out around here, which is a private island and only has one accommodation on it. So there's tons of different experiences within Fiji. Now, from Los Angeles, it's a 10-hour flight, and it's a nighttime flight again, so you're going to sleep and get there. You actually arrive at night because you're crossing a dateline there, so it's kind of a neat thing to see. Lots of friendly people. In fact, Fiji has been voted the friendliest place on earth year after year after year. The Fijians have so much love, and they want to know who you are, where you're from, how long you're staying in Fiji, where you're going, what you're going to see, if you want to come to their place for dinner. I mean, they are absolutely amazing people. And there's not a traveler out there that I know that's been to Fiji that doesn't shed a tear when they're leaving. Because all the Fijians of the resorts come out and they sing to you as you're leaving, and it's just such an emotional experience. It's absolutely beautiful. This is that luxury accommodation I was telling you about on Vuonalevu, and it's called Namali. It's an all-inclusive, just a beautiful property set right into the forest, beautiful pools at each accommodation, whether it be a full pool or lunch pool, depends on the size of accommodation that you book. Some great touring from that area as well. Like I said, there's private islands like Tokariki, which has this huge infinity pool overlooking the coastline. or the ocean, I should say. Lots of spa treatments and options available, unique dining options, kava ceremonies. This is a big thing to do when you go to Fiji. You cannot go to Fiji and not do a kava ceremony. It's a drink that you drink. It kind of numbs your lips a little bit, and they do a bit of a song, and you know, you have to clap for your, if you want more kava, and they give it to you, and it's just a great local experience. Island tours are available. All accommodation has non-motorized water activities. Fiji is fantastic for families. Lots of great kid programs at the accommodation. So, you know, if you're traveling with kids, you can have basically the resort will babysit them for you, and they take them out and they teach them. They teach them about coral and about fish life or aquatic life, and you know, it's a really great experience for kids. They even learn about basket weaving and painting and all sorts of fun stuff. So definitely lots of options if you're traveling as a family. There's cruising on Captain Cook in Fiji. You can do 3-, 4-, or 7-night cruise around the Mamanuthas and Yasawa Islands. And of course, we can't forget about Cook Islands. Now, Cook Islands is a great getaway from Canada. The Canadian travelers really tend to like Cook Islands. It's very laid back and relaxed. It's quiet. It's easy to get around. Beautiful white sand silica beaches. I mean, I can't say enough about the Cook Islands. Now, there's several islands that make up the Cook Islands, but really the only ones most travelers are going to go to is Rarotonga, which is the main island, and then Aitutaki, which is a bit more rustic and for adventure seekers and things like that. This is also where you can go and see farming for black pearls and learn about all of the cultivating that they do out there. Now, Cook Islands from Vancouver on Air New Zealand is 9.5 hours. So again, not that far. So really, it breaks up the journey. If you're going to go and do this as more of a stopover en route to either Auckland or New Zealand or Australia, it breaks up that journey. I always say to people, though, leave that for the end, for coming home, because, I mean, it's a beach destination. You're going to be able to relax before you have to come home and go back to work, right? So it's a great way to do it. Now, Cook Islands is, again, exactly like Fiji and Tahiti. November through April is the summer. June through October is the winter. And no visa for entry, so that's fine. You don't need a visa. It's NZD, so New Zealand for local currency. Credit cards are widely accepted as well. Very, very friendly atmosphere, and like I said, beautiful white silica sand beaches. Look at how clear the water is, too. It's just gorgeous. No motorized water activities at all in the Cook Islands, and that's what makes this such a quiet and laid-back experience, is that you don't have all these boats zipping by or anything like that. It's just very relaxing. This is actually one of my favorite pictures of the Cook Islands because it really captures the experience. The locals are so friendly, like I said, like Fijians. They're very, very friendly, and they just want to take you out and show you their country and explore and show you what their passion is, what they love about their country. And this picture just really captures it for me. Cultural experiences are a must, and all the resorts have these amazing cultural evenings each night. And there's a variety of accommodation. You can go from 3-star all the way up to luxury. You can do apartment rentals out in the Cook Islands. In fact, we have long stay getaways that are 22 and 29-day itineraries in the Cook Islands. So definitely have a look at that with your travel time specialist. Like I said, long stay getaway, so 22 and 29 days. With that being said, we also have it in Australia. So we've got a 22-day that is in the tropical north Queensland, so out in Port Douglas, so like a Great Barrier Reef experience. And then we have a 29-day that's down in, still in Queensland, but down in the Gold Coast, which is a really great long stay destination. Huge beach, great nightlife, a great place to spend 29 or 30 days. Now, like I said, there is so much to review, and I could go on for hours and hours and hours, but we don't have all night. So now what you want to do is kind of look at Travel Time's website and research the packages and things that they've got going on their website. So they've got a beautiful website and lots of information to help you plan. But more importantly, they have specialists online that can help you with all of your questions about the show. Now, thank you so much for attending, and we're not done just yet, but thank you for attending. I wanted to let you know that you have a discount available to you for attending today's show. If you book by the 31st of August for your trip to the South Pacific, so it's Tahiti, Fiji, Australia, New Zealand, Cook Islands, or even if you want to go to Asia, we can do that too. It's $100 off per person. So this is for a minimum of 7 nights accommodation and international airfare, or just a minimum of 10 nights accommodation. And we'll be happy to, at the time of booking, take that $100 off for you of your vacation. Now I'm going to open it up for questions. So if any of you have questions on the line, now is the time to put them into the question box. And if you don't, no worries, because we do have travel time specialists on hand that you can reach out to for any questions that you have further. I'm actually just going to bring Brenda back on. Brenda, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
That was amazing.
Oh, no problem. My pleasure. I love talking about it.
A lot there to talk about, that's for sure.
There really is. You know, it takes a long time to get around those countries, and you know, I'm happy to do this again down the road if you'd like, and if you wanted to just focus on one region, we can do that. But yeah, just let me know. Like I said, I love talking about the destination, so I'm here anytime you need me.
And to anyone that's online, Leah is someone that we can certainly bring into a conversation if you would like to go to a destination but want to know more about it, or have questions, or want maybe some suggestions. So that is some of the things that we do. We can bring Leah into conversations, personal conversations with you.
Oh yes,
Any
absolutely.
questions,
I'm happy to help anytime. I don't see any questions tonight at the moment, but it was a lot of information that I gave them, so I'm sure they're trying to absorb it all right now. So what I think is best to do is maybe just, like I said, follow up with each of them, see if they've got any questions down the road. But you know, first off, I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight to learn a little bit more about the South Pacific and taking some time to really dive into this. I'm excited for you. If it's your first trip, second, third trip, I'm just excited for you to get to the South Pacific. So thank you so much, and thank you, Brenda.
And Leah, this has been recorded, correct?
It has been, absolutely. So if you have anybody else interested, or those online have friends or family that want to see this, Travel Time will have the recording for you.
Yes, so if anybody would like a copy of the recording, feel free to send me an email. It's brenda@traveltime.ca, and I'll make sure to get a copy out to you, okay? Thanks, Leah. There's our phone numbers at the bottom of the screen. Thanks again, Leah, for a wonderful webinar. There was a lot there. We look forward to talking to you again.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for the time, everyone. Have a great evening.
Yeah.
Take care.
Bye-bye.